This brief video is about changes in the demand curve, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a demand curve like this one right here. And we want to talk about what causes this curve to shift to the left or right. And here's my question over here. As you value something more, do you buy more or less of it at the same price? Think about if all of a sudden you hear about the Atkins diet and how it helps people lose weight, and then all of a sudden, if we're talking about beef, you now value beef more because you believe it is something that if you eat more of it, say as a substitute for bread, you will lose weight. So you value beef more. If the price stays the same, do you buy more or less of it? And of course, you know the answer is more. But what we want to talk about is how this demand curve changes as you value something more. And the way we depict a demand curve where you're buying more of something at the same price is just shifting the demand curve to the right. Shifting the demand curve to the right, I'm calling this new demand curve D prime for new. And remember, quantities on the x-axis, so as we go to the right, we're going towards a higher quantity. Another way of seeing that this demand curve is the right shift, suppose that the price is 7. And under the old demand curve, we're buying a little less than 2. And at the new demand curve, we're buying a little more than 5. So when price is 7, we increase purchases from 2 to about 5. That is certainly more. Now let's think about what happens to the demand curve as we value something less. And instead of pretending this good is beef, let's pretend it is bread. And as we mentioned before, the Atkins diet is a diet where people lose weight by not eating carbs and replacing it with things like meat. So if we learn about the Atkins diet and believe it could really help us lose weight, we're now going to value bread less because we think it contributes to weight gain. So our question now is, as you value something less, do you buy more or less of it at the same price? And of course we know the answer is less, but what we want to do is talk about how a lower value translates into a change in a demand curve. And the new demand curve, if we value something less, is something like this. We shift the demand curve to the left. Because remember, quantities on the x-axis, so we go to the left on that axis, we're going towards a lower quantity. And another way of seeing that we should shift the demand curve to the left is just to, let's say, suppose price is 5. And under the old demand curve, we're consuming about 4 units. But under the new demand curve, we're only consuming 1 unit. So at the same price of 5, with the new demand curve, we're consuming less of it. And thus from all of this, we conclude that as the value of a good increases, then our demand curve shifts to the right. And as the value of our good decreases, the demand curve shifts left.